Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Raghu.
How are you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. I'm just trying to work out how to share my screen.
Nick, I'll give a brief introduction. I'm sharing my screen right now, if you can see that. So
Yeah,
once
it's just
once
saying
I'm
because
once I'm done, then you'll be able to share your screen.
it just says because I'm on a Mac, I might need to update some security settings, but let's see. We should be okay.
Right. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar. I think we are good to go, or we should wait for 2-3 minutes to let other people join. Let's wait for 2-3 minutes more, then we can start.
Okay. Am I okay just to test my screen sharing, Raghu, please?
Nick, I think you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, it's just saying that mine. I'd like to test mine if possible. It's saying I'm unable to share my screen.
Okay, let me just stop sharing mine, and then you can. Now you can try.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah, that looks like that's going to work now. I had to update some settings in Mac. Can you see that now?
Yes, we can see.
Great. Fine. Panic over. I was getting an error message.
No issues. So if you stop sharing, then I can share my screen. I can start, and then I'll let you take over.
Yeah, sure.
Nick, I can still see your screen. Can you stop sharing that?
Is that better?
Okay. Yeah, now. Okay, we can start. Thank you everyone for joining. It's Ramadan time, so Ramadan Kareem to everyone. And I will just start the webinar giving you a brief intro about Checksum and Boxphish. And most of you are our clients already, so you know about our services and solutions. But just to give you a brief refresher, this is the agenda today. So I'll give an intro, then I'll hand it over to Nick. Nick will be uh, giving you a demonstration of the platform, and also he'll be giving you a presentation about how Boxfish can help you in your security awareness strategies. And then in the last section, we'll have the Q&A section. And so I won't take much time. I'll give a very brief intro about Checksum. Checksum is an information security consultancy company. We are headquartered in Bahrain, but we have clients and operations in multiple countries in GCC, including Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and UAE as well. And we are expanding to some other territories as well. Quickly into our services, basically we are into two practices, which one is security assessment and other is GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. So security assessment, we do VAPT risk assessments, web application testings, configuration reviews, architecture review, you name it, any kind of security assessment services we can provide. And on the risk and compliance side, we help our clients get certified or get compliant with standards like PCI, ISO 27001, ISO 22301. And we do also provide consultancy on data privacy frameworks like NIST and central bank compliance and cybersecurity audits. Some of our services are available as managed service. Boxphish is one of our partners through whom we can provide managed service as well. And Nick will be explaining that to you. We also have few solution partners. Boxphish is one of our premium partners, but we have other partners like Thycotic on privilege access management, Isologic on brand protection, CyberAngel also on brand protection, and on other domains like DLP on security monitoring, identity management, risk and compliance. So we have multiple partners which are well renowned in the industry. Coming to today's topic, so as you know, security awareness is of paramount importance nowadays. Most of the attacks which happens due to human error, and that's where it's very important to let the employees of the organization be aware of do's and don'ts in security, and that is why we are partnered with Boxphish to provide that to your employees. Nick, I just copied your intro from LinkedIn. So Boxphish is a leading security awareness training company. They are based out of UK, and they use interactive training and real-world attack simulation to educate and train users on how to avoid falling victim to cyber attacks. So today you'll be seeing the demo of Boxphish as well. So with that, I'll hand over to Nick. Nick is the CEO of Boxphish, and over to you, Nick. I'll stop sharing my screen and you can share yours.
That's fine. Okay. Thanks, Raghu. Okay. Can you see a screen there? Okay.
Yes, we can see.
Cool. Okay. So firstly, thanks everybody for your time this morning, and welcome to the presentation. So and also thank you, Raghu, and to Checksum for helping to host this. So I'm CEO and one of the founders of a company called Boxphish. The three areas we're going to look at today are the connection between people and cybercrime. So what is the cost? What's human error? Where are we seeing successful cyber attacks coming from? We're pretty experienced in doing this. So we run training programs for hundreds of thousands of people every single month, and we've got some pretty proven methods on how to mitigate risk, how to reduce human error, and really the most important thing is making it easy for our customers. So working with our partners to deliver this as a managed service, so you get a really solid outcome, but you don't have to worry about the process to running a platform. And then we'll jump into a quick look at the demo. So I'll actually go in and I'll show you the product. I think some key things to bear in mind is I believe we're one of the only providers globally that has a true kind of Arabic offering. So we do quite a bit of work in the Middle East. I used to live in Riyadh. My parents live in the UAE now. So we've got quite strong ties to the region, and we've invested quite heavily in making sure that the content is available in English or Arabic. The characters are very relevant to the region. So I'm hoping that you look at it and think, yeah, that's something different to what we've seen before. So without going into kind of too many stats, I think it's really important that we look at human error. So firstly, as Raghu rightly says, a lot of successful cyber attacks are a result of human error. IBM did a study of over 2,000 cyber attacks, and they found that 94% of them were basically the last line was somebody doing something they shouldn't have done. So a kind of a result of human error. We've seen particularly over in the UK where some of these stats are from, but over the last 12 months, a big spike in cyber activity. We've seen a lot coming from email. So 83% of these typically start at phishing attacks, and then they evolve into, you know, things like ransomware, account takeover, malware downloads, etc. But a lot of what we're talking about is around email safety. So Boxphish was founded really to deliver a very solid output of awareness programs, so training, identifying, reporting, but without having a big burden of admin to run the program. So it's a pretty automated solution, and there's three key areas to it. So the first area, as Raghu says, is the identification. So that for us is basically running mock cyber attacks on your organization. So some of our customers refer to it as like running a human pen test. So how can we help to identify any vulnerability in the organization, any departments that are potentially behaving a bit riskier than others, any users that are, you know, clicking emails they shouldn't do, filling out Microsoft password resets or Google password resets, and we're really trying to identify where that risk is in your organization. And we do that by running repeated simulated attacks. So we have a big library of simulations that we will release to your users, typically one per month. It's important to note that we have templates ready for your region. So soup.com, Hungry House, Hunger Station. It's, you know, we talk dirhams and reals, not dollars and pounds. So it is going to be regional for your end user base, which I think is really important when we're trying to train, that we make it as local as possible. Then alongside the simulations, we run training videos. So one of the big things we've seen in the market is that a lot of the training videos are very long and kind of, dare I say it, sometimes quite Americanized and just generally have a perception that it's more of a distraction than something that's going to add value. So what Boxphish has done is spent a lot of time trying to concise the videos and the training courses into very short and snappy videos, quizzes, games, that the idea being we deliver these on a monthly basis, but they don't take a huge amount of time. So a course will typically be 5 to 10 minutes per month, and we would target sending one of these per month. Some of our customers prefer to send them in batches of, say, 3, but the premise is we're not saying this is a once a year 2-hour course, because the value to it is it's all forgotten within a month or two. So if we can kind of do lots of little reminders throughout the year, we see certainly better behavior change, we see better knowledge retention, and generally just a better learning experience for the end user. And then alongside of that, we have our human risk reporting. So this is an analytics dashboard that I'll show you shortly, that basically brings the data we're collecting from the simulations, from the courses, and presents that back in a really nice, easy to digest dashboard that shows you where your risk is. It shows you who's doing the courses, who isn't. You can trigger reminders from the portal to your users that need to catch up with their courses or that aren't doing very well with them. So some really good analytics available that I'll show you. But then I think one of the key things is the partners deliver this for you. So the likes of Checksum and Boxphish will deliver this service. So you agree the topics you want to train your users on and the frequency, but the actual building and assigning and chasing of the courses is all done via the software and via the partner. So it's a very hands-off approach to running a training program for you as the end client. Okay. So we work with lots of organizations throughout the world. Typical customers are from 50 to 5,000 is kind of our sweet spot, but we've got some big customers at 25,000 users and kind of some around the 40. But the idea being that we've done this a lot. This is our 5th year in business. This is all we do. So we're pretty well versed at the challenges of what running a good human factor program is. And I think for me, a really important thing, particularly in your region, is that the characters we're using to train are relevant. So we've done two things. We've partnered with a designer over in the Middle East that helps us bring some of that kind of authenticity to the training. But we've also had a local, we call them voice artists, but basically somebody that records the audio on the video. I believe they live in Abu Dhabi. They speak kind of modern corporate Arabic. So the training is available in both UK and true kind of modern Arabic. So it's very fitting for all users within the workplace over in the Middle East. And hopefully, you know, with the characters, you know, this brings a real local feel. So rather than trying to shoehorn something that's been created over in the West into your end user base, we've got something very specific to your region. I think that really is a key differentiator. So there's just a couple of examples of kind of the graphics that we're using. And then before we kind of start a program, I think one of the key things that we've got to look at is what are we trying to achieve? So as Raghu mentioned earlier, there's lots of certifications in cyber. So your ISOs, your NIST, your PCIs, your Cyber Essentials over in the UK, where cyber awareness training is almost mandated. You know, in order to have the certifications, you need to be able to evidence that you're running a training program. But what we're actually doing is trying to look beyond just compliance. So rather than just box ticking to say, oh yeah, we train our staff once a year, great, we can now get this certification. We try to actually really shape some end user behavior. And I think the way in which we do that is by doing the little and often approach. So by running it automated ensures it delivers consistently. By reducing the time it takes, it means users have a higher chance of taking part in the training. By making it easy for the end user, so single signing into a course via Microsoft or Google, so they're not having to download applications and enter a load of credentials. It's just easy to digest the information. We build you news bulletins that highlight kind of key cyber tips at the time. We can send posters to go up around manufacturing sites, staff rooms, offices. So we take a really rounded approach to the training with an end goal that we start getting users reporting more information back to the IT team, reporting more phishing, alerting people if they think they've got something they shouldn't have done. So you can obviously go and check people's inboxes and do backups, etc. So it's all around really driving that behavior change. And we've got a proven process to reduce risk. It's pretty simple, but it works, and that's to identify regularly with the simulated cyber attacks, educate regularly with the short, snappy videos that are typically looking at things like phishing, account takeover, malware, ransomware, password management, credit card fraud, anti-money laundering, all kind of very cyber and security topics, but we don't overwhelm the end user. They're just nice, short, sharp training courses. Then the dashboard to give the analytics to see it all. And then finally, and I think probably most importantly, is repeat. So this isn't an annual thing. It's an ongoing exercise that we would try ingrain within the DNA of your company's organization and cybersecurity posture. And once it's going, we just keep going. We keep enabling users to have the knowledge. We keep testing users via simulations, all to just drive that behavior change. So I'm going to start showing the product very shortly. I want to give you an example of what some of these cyber attacks look like, and then I'll show you the portal. Now, I'm going to assume that some of the people on the webinar today do this, and I'm going to assume that some don't. So we'll kind of look at it at quite grassroots level. So we have a large library of phishing simulations of all sorts of different types. So whether that be Google, trying to get people to see who would be willing to share their passwords. We've got Microsoft, we've got LinkedIn, Facebook, all sorts of different templates. But here's a website very similar to, I believe it's Hungry House or Hunger Station in your region, but where it's a food voucher, it's a food delivery service, and we're looking to see who would go to use a voucher, go to a website, input credentials, and download that voucher locally. So what we're doing there is we're tracking who's clicking links they shouldn't be, who's inputting information on not secure sites, and who's downloading these kind of attachments into the network and onto their PCs. And we're tracking all of that. We then have some options on what we share with a user. So some is an oops page. So in this scenario, it's quite useful if you want to do some baseline testing, whereby you run some simulated cyber attacks, but your staff aren't necessarily alerted to what we're sending, so they don't tell their friends or they don't kind of panic. But it enables us as providers to track the data and see what your risk score is. We then have these, which I think are really useful to use further down the journey, and these are kind of on the spot training experiences. So what it will do is, if you click, it's quite small on the screen share, but this is an Amazon simulation that we've sent, and what it will do is it will come up on your screen if you engage with it, and it will say you've clicked something you shouldn't have, and then it will show you in the email interactively what you should have looked out for. So a really kind of effective instant learning experience for the user, with the overall goal being that we're just reducing people engaging with not safe emails. LinkedIn examples. This is a really important one, I think. We see a lot of damage caused by account takeover. So somebody getting inside your Microsoft 365, or somebody getting inside your Google accounts. So what we look to do is basically run simulated account takeovers. So a security alert of some kind, usually to say you need to reset your password or you need to verify this sign in. We would then take the end user to a landing page where we're going to see who will input their credentials. So who's going to kind of share their username and password on a website. Now, Boxphish doesn't store any of that data, but what we can do is we can track who's engaged with the email and who's input the information into the website. So some really useful analytics for you. And then what we can do off the back of that is then go and assign training on how to spot account takeover attempts. I've got OneDrive examples. There's the Microsoft login page there to give you a feel. So some really good kind of real life training and phishing emails. And then we've got other pages like this that just say you clicked something you shouldn't have. Don't worry, it wasn't a real cyber attack. Could have been. Look out for these things next time. So lots and lots of different options. Now, the next piece I'm going to jump into is show you the portal itself. So, Raghu, if you can confirm that I'm sharing the right thing shortly, let me just get rid of this. So, can you see a training website now, Raghu?
Yes, we can see. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to talk a little bit through this website, or through the portal, sorry, and then we shall jump in and we'll go through the reports. So every user will have access to a training portal like this, where we essentially deliver the courses. Now, they're email-based courses, so you'll get an email to say, Nick, your course on spear phishing, ransomware, SEO fraud, whatever it may be, has arrived. Click here to take it, and it will single sign on you into this portal. And here we can see what my grade is, what my organization average is. If I've got admin rights, we can see reports. We can see the users in the portal via the tenancy. We can see what journey we're on. So lots of really useful information. But an end user will just see their grade, their organization average, and the courses they have. You will see your outstanding courses, and you will see down here your completed courses. So I've got obviously lots of outstanding courses because this is a demo platform, but nevertheless, some nice kind of information. Now I'm just going to hit take course. Now I'm going to talk through the structure of a course, and then I'll jump out. I'll show you a slightly more gamified course. In fact, let me see if I've got this now. Actually, I might just do that straight away. Have I got passwords? Yeah, here we go. Right, I'll show this one. So we're going to walk through kind of a quick course. I don't know if I'm going to get audio on the way I'm sharing my screen, so I'll turn on subtitles if not. So just to refresh, our courses are about 5 to 6 minutes long. This particular one's 5 minutes. They are usually focused on just one area. So this one is passwords. We've got lots and lots of different areas, about 50 different areas. And this is an interesting course type because this is a video, a game, then a short quiz, but all very nice and quick. So let's see, I don't know what subtitles I've got here. There we go. I'll turn on those just in case audio is not coming through. So the format will be a short video. I'll play this now just for kind of 30 seconds or so. Now in the region, we do have Arabic characters that we can use as well for the training.
Year after year, cybersecurity experts emphasize the use of strong, unique passwords as one of the top recommendations for businesses and individual users alike. Yet it continues to be one of the most commonly overlooked security measures. This fact is best displayed through Splashdata's annual Worst Passwords list, which has listed 123456 as the most commonly used password every year since 2013. The reason many users seem to be ignoring this guidance is simply because the risk of forgetting a complex password seems much more likely than the risk of being hacked. But in reality, account compromise is not some kind of advanced attack reserved for high-profile targets as you may think, with experts even estimating that it occurs as frequently as 158 compromises every second. Service providers are helping to shift this trend by setting certain requirements for password creation, like requiring a minimum number of letters or the inclusion of special characters. But it's important to emphasize that the uniqueness of a password is just as important, if not more so, than its complexity. To demonstrate the importance of using unique passwords, let's look at the case of Kevin. Kevin works remotely and relies on a variety of applications and websites to access company data, collaborate with colleagues, and communicate with customers.
Just conscious of time, I'm going to move on there. But so short video, Kevin's targeted with an account takeover. He has his same password across all applications. It's not a very secure one. So then once the hackers breach those accounts, he'll then jump out and explain what Kevin should have done. So strong and unique password, use a password manager, 3 random words, etc., just to kind of reduce that risk. We then have a little game here where you can choose from these 10 passwords, put them in the right buckets, and you get kind of a point for each one. Again, just to really make it a bit more relevant for the end user, make it a bit more fun and not just a PowerPoint presentation from kind of a security consultant. It's just a bit more engaging in their own time and light-hearted, but still really useful. And then we have a short quiz, 5 questions, multiple choice. And you work through them. You get real-time feedback as you work through. You get a little on-screen certificate with a thumbs up at the end if you pass. And overall, just a really kind of nice experience for the end user. Succinct, but engaging as well. So unless there's any questions on the courses, we'll only show one example because they all follow a similar suit, but we've just got lots of different topics. But hopefully that was good for you to see. We're now going to move into the analytics suite. So Raghu, can you see a dashboard okay?
Yes, I can.
Great. Okay, cool. Good. So within the dashboard, we've got all sorts of data points that we're tracking, and I'm going to kind of show you these because I think this is really useful. So as an admin or a CIO, IT director, whoever's looking after the product from a client side, you get access to these analytics. And the first one is a risk score. So this is really looking at what's your engagement percentage on the simulations. And a risk score sits between 5 and 1, 1 being low, 5 being high. We've got the number of users enrolled in the portal. So this is only demo data, but you would see your number of active users there. We've got a fail rate on the simulation. So what this is telling us is from the simulations that we're sending, what's your fail rate? So we've got 323 sims sent, 108 clicked, and that's a 33.44% fail rate. We've got a course complete rate here. And we've got the average score on the quizzes. So if you remember the quizzes at the end of the course, they're all tracked. And we've got an average score on how we're doing on that. We then have a trending risk score. So month by month, how are we doing? So we're reducing that risk. Is it flatlining? Is it going up? Again, this is just demo data, but it's useful to see, are we driving the engagement down as time goes on? So they're your summary metrics. Now, if you want to click in to have a lot more an under the bonnet view, then you've got these controls here. So we can filter on certain dates. We can enter certain email accounts if we want to see just a specific user. We can see total SIM count, SIM sent, and click percentage clicked. I'm now actually going to show you how we can then down select. So you'll see I've hit MS Teams notification here. We can see that specific one. So that was a Microsoft Teams fish that was sent 7 times. It was clicked 3, gave us a click rate of 42.86%. We can then look down here at the audit log, and it will tell me who it was sent to, where they're based. So, you know, is it Riyadh? Is it Dubai? Is it Bahrain? Wherever. What department they work in, when it was sent, and who clicked it. You can then filter here by location department as well. And I'm just going to unselect that, and I'll show you another example. So what we can do here is, because we've unselected that now, we've now got all of our data. So you'll see here, there's many data points. This is kind of an activity log on everything that's gone on in your portal. But what you can do is you can filter on a user as well. So let's see if I can find my test account. Here we go. So I'm going to look at this. I'm going to click me, and it's going to say I've been sent 116. I've clicked 60. You can see what they were. And then down here, you can see when they were sent and a full audit of everything there. Just some really nice kind of granular detail. And why this is going to add value to your organization will be, you can filter it by high risk users. So out of your user base, who are the repeat offenders? Who are the risky users? And you can filter it to see, I want to see engagement descending. And then you can run this report here. So I can say, right, myself, Sam, and Sean are the worst by a long way. I've clicked 60. Sam's clicked 18. Sean's clicked 30. Now, we're all engineers that and people that work on the platform a lot, hence all the clicks. But it's really useful to see who those users are, because what we can then do is compare the high-risk user list to the training list. So we can look at the data. Is there a pattern? Is Nick, Sam, and Sean, are Sam, Nick, and Sean not doing a training? Because if so, we need to make sure that they do their training, and we need to assign them more because they're continuously clicking the engagements and the simulations. Now, let's say we've got a department here, technical, that it has come out red. So what that's telling me is that of all the departments in my business, technical is the highest risk. Now I can click that, and it is just going to down select the user list, say, right, who's on the technical data demo platform? What were they sent? When did they click it? We can see what location they clicked from. So again, some really useful metrics. And you might want to do it by country or region as well. So for example, Bahrain might have a higher click rate than Saudi. So you could click that, pretending Leeds is Bahrain, and it would show you who's clicked when, which departments, which users, and which templates they engage with. So some really granular detail available. And then if you want raw data for any reason, like you're doing your own kind of data reporting or Power BI dashboards, you can export this at source as well. So I'm just going to jump onto the course side of things quickly, as I think this is really useful. So this is the analytics on the courses. So we can see the courses sent, courses complete, percentage of course complete. We can see which courses have been completed. So these are all 100% complete, which is great. So that basically means everyone we sent it to has taken the time to do it. Now, something like online shopping is a 10% complete rate. So that's been sent 37 times and done for. We can then say, right, we actually want to trigger some reminders to the people that haven't done it to help drive that uptake. That can be done via us or the partner or the admin, but the idea being that the end users that haven't taken the time to complete the courses go and get them done. We can then see course complete rate by individual. So I might want to filter this and say, actually, you know, L's done all of the courses. So well done, L, 10 out of 10. Whereas if we filter it the other way, Alex Thomas has done 0. Alex Wood has done 0. So we can go and see those specific users in the portal and make sure that they're being chased to get the courses done. We can see complete rate by location. So which countries, offices are better at getting their courses done, and then which departments are getting them done as well. So again, some really useful metrics. And then you can see what was sent to whom and when down at the bottom. Okay, so hopefully that was a useful insight into the reporting suite. Again, we're coming to kind of the end of the presentation here, but we've got some integrations with Microsoft and with Google to make sure it's very easy for the end user to sign in, and also to maintain your user list, so we're not having to upload a load of CSVs and things, etc. So that brings us slightly ahead of schedule, but to the end of the presentation, Raghu.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Thank you very much. And yes, we can now have a Q&A section. So you can post your questions in the Q&A box, or you can raise your hand. I can allow you to speak. Nick, usually a couple of questions which clients have are, one, how is your solution different from the existing players which are known like KnowBe4 or Proofpoint or FishMe? So that is one maybe you can elaborate on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, happily. So I think there's a few questions coming as well, so we'll cover those in a moment. But I think for me, our regionalization is key. So making sure it's very relevant to the people we're training. I think if we talk about kind of email filtering products and your Barracudas and your Proofpoints and things, I know they do training as well, but they also do things at an inbox level. Your end users don't really know whether you've changed your firewall or changed your email filter, but your end users do know if you're asking them to sit a training course. So I think the look and feel and the user experience for the end user is paramount. And I think I've not seen any product out there that is as well suited for the Middle East as Boxphish, because of the way that we've enabled that kind of customized content in the region. So I would say that's one thing. And then the other thing is the admin side. So we're not relying on an IT manager or a CIO or a learning and development team who are very busy to go and add another thing to their to-do list. So go and send the simulations, go and send the courses. The portal will do that for you. So I think they're the kind of two differentiators for me, specifically in your region.
Okay, we have some questions. So I can take the first one, the material required for this event. Everyone who has registered will be getting a recording of this webinar, so you can access that anytime. And yeah, Nick, there is a question that do you have training for school and kids?
Yeah, it is a good question. So yes, we do. How old? I think it starts at about 12 years old. So 12 to kind of 18, but that's quite a big area for us, is training students. So a lot of it's around social media rather than like invoices, for example, because it's more relevant. But yeah, we do have training for kids. What's the next piece? Can we customize?
And can you customize the content specific to organization?
So the actual courses themselves aren't customizable, but what is customizable is the courses that we send. So let's say we have 50 courses to choose from, for example. You can pick and choose what you want to train your users on, and you can choose the order they go in. Now, what you can't do is go and edit the video, for example, because it's very expensive for anyone to do. So, but you can pick and choose and customize the training program. Can you share a few references of clients based in Middle East? Yeah. So we work with a part of Aramco in Saudi. We work with a company called Better Cotton, who are a large cotton certification company. We work with some of other Checksum customers. So we've got good experience in the region. And how often should our staff undergo security awareness training? I think monthly or every other month is a good practice. So because they're such short courses, I think little and often is definitely better than like 2 hours a year, because you just forget everything. So I would say every other month or every month, but very short courses, so not long courses that take ages. Okay, we've got a lot of questions actually. Next question. Yeah, it's SaaS-based model. Yeah. Do we have trainings in Arabic? Yes, we do. Yeah. Oh, we've got a hand up as well. Who's put a hand up? Oh no, I think they just put the question.
Yeah,
in.
that's
Okay. How complex can the course be? Yeah, so again, so it's a good question, Izam. So I think what we try to do is make sure that we start out at quite a low level of complexity. So we want everyone, you know, if you work, I'm just going to use some examples. I don't mean to generalize here, but whether you're a primary school teacher or a general, you know, you work on a cashier machine in a bank, or, you know, where you're maybe not completely involved in technical applications throughout the day, then we assume that maybe your level of complexity, or sorry, the ability, I suppose, of the training you can go through needs to be quite simple, quite to the point. And I think what we do is we try to start everyone out on a basic training program and then build up throughout the journey. So we don't try to overcomplicate things. We keep it real world language, very kind of jargon free, but then we build up our complexity and our level of training throughout the program. But we would start kind of pretty much everyone at a level playing field.
yeah, the commercials. I knew this question will come anyways. So the licensing you can explain.
Yeah, so Raghu, I'm assuming that you can provide commercials to people should anyone want some quotes at the end of the webinar.
Sure, we can individually talk to each of our clients, but I think you can explain how the licensing works. It is based on users. It is based on
yeah. So it's a user-based license. So you pay per user. It's charged on either a 1, 2, or 3 year basis, dependent on, obviously you get slightly reduced price for going a longer term, but it's a cost per user per year. Do we provide certifications? So yes and no. So we provide an online certificate that appears at the end of your course if you pass. Now we are looking at making it so when a certificate's emailed to you, you can see your score, you can see how you're comparing to your peers, but we're not an organization that is, I suppose, certified to give end users like a well-recognized certification. How can you minimize the burden on help desk during simulate? Okay, another good question. So I think minimizing the burden on help desk is a really important point. So what we look to do is we would typically communicate what we're doing with our end users before we do it. So that's not to say we're going to say, right, on Monday we're sending you a fake OneDrive file. But what we would suggest is you let your employees know that we are going to be training you. We are going to be testing you to see who needs support. If you click something that comes on your screen and says this was a training exercise, don't worry about it, then you don't need to let IT team know. So that's how we kind of reduce the burden by communicating it with end users. And some of our other customers will also have some stock templates. So if you were to report the fish, for example, to your IT team, and it's a training fish, you have a little email that says, thank you for reporting this. It was a training exercise. Well done for reporting it and for not engaging. And, you know, basically communicating to end users that they don't need to panic if they click them. Does the integration get done through Office 365 AD? Yes. So we have a sync into Microsoft 365. You select the security group that you want to enroll the users on. That will then bring the user accounts in, and it will enable single sign-on into the portal. Are there lots of gaming questions? So not loads. We have 3 or 4 games. We have the password one that you've seen. We have a physical devices one. We have a spot the fish, which is a lineup of emails, and you have a bucket and you have to choose whether they're phishing or safe, and you see the emails, you can play in them and strike them into the bucket. We are developing more, but because I think gamification is a really good way of learning, but we've got a good selection to start. prerequisites before starting the courses. So yeah, I think the key ones are making sure the audio plays in the environment. So we've seen some firewalls blocking audio to the video, so we would always test that. The other key is making sure that single sign-on set up correctly for your end users, so they can actually take the courses. And they're probably the main ones actually. So not too many. If an organizational level of employee, can you customize whom what to send? Yeah, so what we can do is we can give department managers and directors access to the reporting, so they can see their risk level. They can see which users in their department are high risk, so then they can obviously go and speak to them and control the communication. So yeah, it's very common that we would assign to high risk departments or sites reporting access.
We have a question from Victor.
So questions are randomized. Yes, there's a pool of questions, and yes, it's difficult to copy everybody because the questions and answers are all randomized and shuffled as they are sent out.
Okay, great. So one thing is, I think, Nick, you can confirm if any of our clients are interested, they can have a trial of the solution for a limited number of days.
Yeah, we can send some sample courses for sure.
Okay.
But it's only, our trials, we would only do to a couple of users, typically in IT or admin, so they can see kind of the experience on taking the courses, but that's no problem.
The last question, does your courses include the consequences for those who fail the simulations and have very high risk?
Yeah, so what we would suggest is a good practice to that, Rajan, is maybe once a quarter, so once every 3 months, we look at your high risk user list and we go and assign them extra training on spear phishing and account takeover to make sure that that they're aware that they are considered a risk, and B, that we're changing the way we can communicate with them a little bit to say, look, you need to be more conscious and careful around the inbox and make sure you're getting your training done. Okay, and then another question for me, Sam. Can you start with the advanced level of training? Yeah, I mean, you could. The order is completely at your disposal. We just typically would start basic and move up. Even our advanced isn't incredibly advanced in the sense that we're not training people how to safely code or manage databases or things. This is end user awareness. So although it's advanced, it's not incredibly technical training. Yeah, good question. I like this one. From your experience, do you have a view of how much you cut down risk? So yeah, we do actually. So it's obviously all relatively dependent on the customer. So as the end client, you do need to communicate this. You do need to help drive uptake. But I've got examples of customers where they've gone from a 14 to 15% engagement rate. So if we were to just talk maths, let's say there's 1,000 employees and we're testing them monthly, they're getting a 14 to 15% fail rate. That is 150 people engaging with that email. And then what we've done is we've done a training program with them over a year period. In fact, longer actually. The example I'm thinking of, about 18 months, and they're now kind of a 1 to 2% click rate. So if you picture that in terms of real world, we're reducing the number of fails from 140, 150 down to 10 to 20. So what that means is if a cyber attacker gets inside your network, that email has to land in that 10 to 20 rather than the 140 to 150. So we're really reducing the threat landscape. Like reports, good. Thank you, Isam. Yeah, definitely raised general awareness. We're seeing a lot of people more reporting phishing, which are real fish, which is good. and talking about kind of if they've done things. You know, a lot of what we want to do is make sure end users aren't scared to come and approach you if they think they've downloaded something or given their password away or clicked a link, because a lot of end users naturally will think, oh no, I'm going to hide that and hope nobody finds out. And that's where the bad thing is, because the quicker, as I'm sure we'll all agree, the quicker you get to it, the quicker you can resolve it, and usually the less damage is done. So speed of response is really key, and that's what we talk a lot about.
One question from Irfan. How do I know my phishing simulation program is effective, and shall I keep repeating the program for my users?
Well, I think the data gives you a good view of if it's working or not. I think they're always effective in the sense that it enables you to see where your risk is and who your users are. So as a worst case, you're going to be able to identify who are my high-risk users right now. So there's a load of value in that. The next thing I would say is if we're over time reducing engagement, as I mentioned for the other customer that I referenced, then that's effective. So there's kind of three measures for me: giving you instant feedback on where the risk is, looking at the data to see is engagement coming down over time, and then the third one is what's the general behavior like on the IT service desk? Are we seeing more people generally reporting phish or generally approaching us if they're clicking, you know, if they think they've done something that they shouldn't have done? And I think that the third one is a really important one for me. We're trying to encourage your users to not be afraid to seek IT's help, because I've never met an IT manager that would prefer to not know about an end user doing something they think they shouldn't have done than to not be bothered by it, if that makes sense.
Great. Any other questions? If
Conscious, Raghu, I've got another seminar in 4 minutes, so if there are more, then we can do them. But
no, we can conclude. I think that will be it. And if there are any more questions, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to me directly, or you can just send it an email, and we will answer your questions. All right. Thanks a lot, Nick. Thanks for your time, and it was wonderful presentation, wonderful demo, and it's quite engaging as well. So there were a lot of questions, and that's always a good sign. So thank you very much. And if you want to say anything, otherwise we can continue.
Yeah, no, just a massive thank you, Raghu, for setting it up, and to Checksum, and then a real big thank you to everyone that attended. I think the questions were really good. I hope that you see, you know, the platform is something that could add some value to your organization, and we're here to help you if you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
See you.
Thank you for everything.
Bye.